No, there's no way that's right.
Hold on, that's not right.
That's not right.
That's not right.
We're throwing a challenge flag.
This week on Beat the Heat, we have Sahil Bloom. He's an author, content creator, super smart guy, and gives amazing advice all over the internet. He also preaches doing hard things, which normally come from the cold plunge. Now, this is going to be a different beast. He does sauna, but never like this. So let's see if Sahil has what it takes to beat the heat. All right, this is how it works. The sauna starts at 160 degrees. Every 5 minutes, it goes up 10 degrees till we max out at 230 degrees. As soon as that door closes, a 30-minute timer starts, and that's the length of the podcast if you beat the heat. But throughout the conversation, there's 5 trivia questions that pertain to the guest. If they get the question wrong, water goes on the rocks, which makes it way hotter in the sauna. If they make it the full 30 minutes, they win the coveted Golden Ladle Award, which is the most sought after trophy in all sports and competition. So let's see if they have what it takes to beat the heat.
All right, Sahil Bloom, welcome to Beat the Heat.
The journey begins.
You had a hectic day.
I had a hectic day, although this is the perfect way to end this day.
It
to
is.
Do a sauna with one of my guys.
We'll ask you in 25 minutes if you feel that way. So thanks for coming on. Yeah, talk about today. You had a big day in Nashville.
Had a big day in Nashville. You know, I'm on the road big time right now with book promotion stuff. Really just I care so deeply about this message that I'm trying to share that it means something to me, and I want to make sure I do everything in my power to kind of leave it all on the field. It's sort of that athlete mentality, which you obviously understand.
Yeah, you've been grinding.
Yeah.
Talk about the book. So I got an early copy, and it's sick. I will say I need to go back through it because I'm a paper book guy, so the digital was tough. But the entire philosophy is I think I couldn't agree more with the way you spelled everything out. So talk to us about how long you've been working on and just the entire lead up. I don't think people realize what goes into a launch of a book. Yeah.
So it's been the last 3 years that I've been working on it. I didn't really set out to write a book. I had been creating content on the internet for a while.
Yeah.
And I'd been writing on Twitter originally, and then I had this newsletter. And I had gotten approached by a bunch of publishers being you should write a book just because that's the next thing that you do. And I didn't have an idea that was pulling me to want to write something yet. And so I had hesitated, I'd waited, and then I really felt called to this one idea, which the book is called The 5 Types of Wealth. And the whole idea is redefining wealth beyond money and building a life around the things that you truly care about. So rather than living by default and just accepting everyone else's definition of success, how do you create your own definition of success and then go and actually take the actions to build your life around those things?
Right. Which is, I think the best part about it is seeing firsthand, there's no doubt you're living out the book. And with that, we're going to go to our first trivia question. Okay. So there's 5 trivia questions throughout. Okay. They kind of pertain to you.
Yeah. What's the temperature in here right now, by the way?
It's probably 165, but it's up.
Yeah, this is definitely a different level of 165. I'm
So you have the Sisu barrel.
I have the Sisu barrel,
So this is the new cabin, but there's a 9 kilowatt heater. So it heats up faster, and I feel like it just feels hotter. The other thing
it plays hotter for sure.
Yeah, the other thing is the barrel, it's sitting on the bottom deck, right? Your entire body is in the heat.
Yeah,
this is actually a traditional Finnish vibe.
Heat rises.
And they actually prefer a square sauna because it's more even. But anyways, okay. So I feel like you're all into doing hard things. Every morning, cold plunge. The average cold plunge is 45 degrees. What temperature is that in Celsius?
I have a rule, by the way, that I don't do public math. So you're breaking the rule from the first step. What temperature is that in Celsius? You said it's 45 Fahrenheit?
45, yep.
It's 7.5 degrees Celsius.
You have to pick a.
I have to pick an integer.
Singular.
Oh, you're making me pick
digit.
an integer.
Yep.
Oh,
it will round.
I'm gonna say it is 8.
7. Oh. All right, so water goes on the rocks, which is going to make this substantially harder. I was hoping you would get that right.
Oh, okay. That's why I don't do public math. There you go.
Okay, so
that just makes it more human. Ooh, no, that hits.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, that hits. Yeah, that's good.
Okay, so
ooh.
So one part in the book that I like, I always think about this too. You talk about seeing your parents and how many times you're going to see your parents. I feel like Jesse, who was the first guest, kind of he talks about that a lot too. It's like when you actually reverse engineer the math, not to make you do math again, but when you think about like the impactful things in your life and how many times it's going to happen, I do feel like people don't realize how rare and special those moments are.
Yeah.
And I guess having that kind of like realization, what's some things that you changed in your personal life?
I mean, what you're referencing in the book it's the opening of the book, which is a conversation that I had with a friend in May of 2021, when, just to set the context for it in my own life, like I was very much chasing everyone else's definition of success. I'd been marching down this very traditional path, like trying to make more and more money, basically thinking that one day I was going to wake up and like feel good, feel successful, feel like I had made it. And along that journey, while I was doing that, everything else in my life was really starting to suffer and fall apart. And unfortunately, that would included like my own health, my mental health, relationships with my parents. I wasn't seeing them. With my wife was strained. All of these other areas of my life were getting hurt while I was like seemingly on the outside looking in, successful and sort of winning the game.
Right. And
I had this conversation with a friend where he brought this math to my attention of, if I'm seeing my parents once a year and they are 65 years old, I'm going to see them 15 more times before they die. And it felt like a punch in the gut to just know that the number of moments you have left with the people that you love most are so finite, so countable, is just a terrifying notion.
Yeah. And
we made a dramatic change, which was in 45 days, we had sold our house in California. I'd left my job and we'd moved back to the East Coast to be closer to them. And that change took control of our lives in the sense that like 15 more times went from 15 to like hundreds. I see my parents every other week now. Right. I see them all the time. They get to be a huge part of my son's life. And that is just to say that you can control these things with your actions. You can actually create time in the sense that you can create memories, create moments with these people that you care about. But it all starts with awareness. So like in the book, in the time wealth section, which is the first section where it talks about this, the first pillar of time wealth is just awareness. It's just recognizing that time is your most precious asset. It is so impermanent, so finite. And most of us fail to think about time until it's too late. So we think about time like it's zero. And then at the very end of our life, it's the only thing we think about. Yeah. And we would do anything to have more of it. And we need to flip the script on that, like having that awareness sooner rather than later, recognizing how time is so precious and asking yourself certain questions to unveil that awareness makes a huge difference in how you live.
I think people don't realize too, and honestly, it goes the opposite way. When you think about the brain, right? Like your brain just stores data. And I think what people don't realize, people always talk about time going faster when you get older, but your brain's capacity to store data, like think about it as like frames per second, get less and less. So when you're able to actually remember less, time actually is going faster because you're remembering less detail and less specific moments. And so I think, to that point, I feel like people need to realize not only is it feel faster, it actually does accelerate. So if you can have awareness early, like you're talking about, I feel like you can, I always think about like my biggest fear is looking back, leaving something on the table and regretting not doing something. So I think like you're talking about it, people have this awareness. You really, these are things I feel like when you get older, you start thinking about when you're in your 20.
Yeah.
You're kind of just trying to figure it out.
And you're spitting on time in your 20s. The question I always ask young people is, would you trade lives with Warren Buffett? And I say that in the book. And the reason I ask it is because he is worth $130 billion. Yeah. He flies around on private jets. He has houses all over the world. He can meet with anyone. He reads and learns for a living every single day. But you wouldn't trade lives with him because he's 95 years old. Yeah. There's no way you would trade $130 billion of his money for the time that you have left. And similarly, he would give absolutely anything. He would trade all $130 billion to be in your shoes where you are today. Right. And so it's a reminder that your time has literally incalculable value. And yet, on a daily basis, you're taking actions to spit on it.
Right.
You're disregarding it. You're not appreciating it. You're not making decisions that take into account the fact that you are literally a time billionaire.
Right. Yeah, that totally makes sense. I think that... How
you feeling?
I feel great. How do you feel?
I feel pretty good. I'm sweating a lot, though.
Yeah, no, it gets aggressive. I mean, we're probably like 8 minutes in. But yeah, so...
I need to get the next trivia question right,
because
that heat, that
was
tough.
Trivia question's right here, because I think one of the coolest things about what you've done is like, a lot of the stuff you're talking about is self-journey and your whole process. But I want to talk about how you got started, because I think there's so many people out there now more than ever, like, the reason you're able to implement a lot of this stuff is because you've created a lifestyle you're able to do it. And you carved this thing out of basically nothing from the beginning. So Twitter was really where you started hammering, right? And so that'll be the next trivia question.
Okay.
Or X, whatever you want to call it. What year was Twitter founded?
2010?
2016.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man, I was not even remotely
Wait,
close.
Hold on. This could be wrong, though.
Wrong.
I thought that it was founded while I was in college. No, there's no way that's right.
Hold on, that's not right.
That's not right.
That's not right.
We're throwing a challenge flag.
That's Instagram.
A challenge flag. Yeah,
that's Instagram.
That's not right. Oh, 2006. I was still wrong.
Okay, perfect.
yeah.
I was going to say, that is not right.
Okay.
Because I definitely had... Twitter was like the cool thing in college.
Yeah.
We would always try to build up our Twitter. Okay,
same. I was like, but I thought it was founded while I was there. Anyway, all right.
Okay, so actually, I'll give you the option. Do you want to start talking about your Twitter, or do you want to do another trivia question right in a row? Get it out of the way.
No, we can start talking about Twitter.
So fine. Twitter.
That felt good, by the way.
Yeah, that one was better. That was better. Yeah. So you started on Twitter, and you started ripping. Like, your growth was crazy. Mm-hmm. So talk to us about that. And I guess for someone sitting there, like, I have no idea. Like, I want to share a message, want to get involved in social media, for example. How do I start?
Yeah, so when I first started, I was working 80 to 100-hour weeks working at this private equity fund. Like, I wasn't going on a content journey. I wasn't like, oh, I'm going to become an influencer, then I'm going to write a book, then I'm going to be sitting with Todd in a sauna doing a podcast together.
That's what you really shoot for.
There was no strategy, is my point. Like, it was me being pulled towards something I got energy from.
Yeah.
I really always enjoyed writing, and Twitter was a format that I was naturally attracted to because it required you to distill your thoughts down to the most simple, basic version.
Concise, yeah.
Very concise. And that requires a level of clarity of thought, which people don't appreciate, that writing something short actually requires more clarity of thought than writing something long.
Yeah.
I think it's Mark Twain says, I didn't have time to write a short letter, so I wrote a long one instead. It's like this funny quote of that exact thing. Like, it's much harder to distill. And so I started doing this as a weekend hobby. I just had time on my hands because COVID was happening. I didn't have a social life. I wasn't commuting. It was in May of 2020 that
You're
I wrote
out
my
west
first
still,
thing.
right?
I'm out west still. I'm still working my job, marching along the path. And I had 500 followers at the time. I start writing these posts that were basically breaking down business and finance into simple terms.
And wait, when did you decide I'm going to start this?
Yeah. So I'm like you, right? I come from an athletic background.
Yeah.
Not as good as you, but I played baseball at Stanford.
You were the same.
And I had a whole bunch of friends from my baseball days who viewed me as their finance friend. I was the guy who had gone and worked in finance. And so whenever they had questions about finance, I was the one getting texts. May of 2020, if you remember, was a very interesting time in the world of business and finance, which is, it was a time when the entire economy was shut down, yet the markets were ripping. Everything was going up and to the right, stocks, people were making money. So I had tons of friends just reaching out, being like, what's going on with this? What's going on with that? What's that? All of these things. And so I basically started answering their questions in the form of these posts that I was sharing. Because I recognized that if they have this question, there's millions of people out there that have this question. And that's an important insight for anyone thinking about creating content, which is there's nothing too simple to go and write about, because if someone has that question, there's millions of people that have it. If you ever wondered about something when you were 25 and now you know the answer to it at 30, there's millions of other 25-year-old versions of you that need that guidance, that need that insight.
Did you have any fear of I think a lot of people are nervous to just put it out there, I don't know the most, can I give the best advice? Is there any fear in that sense?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the fear of judgment is the biggest one. I was working in a very traditional path. Putting yourself out there in that way was not something that was positively supported necessarily.
Yeah.
And so I didn't know how people would react to it. I wasn't as worried about like a random anonymous person on Twitter as much as I was like my boss or like my friend like, well, they're going to make fun of me. And they did. Like you get made fun of and you lose friends along the way and you realize who supports you and who doesn't. And, when I had 2,000 followers or 500 followers, the same thing that was cringe then is like sick, and I'm supporting people and creating value now. And so it's like the exact same thing, but it just changes how people view it based on your external situation. And so I just started doing it every single day. And this goes back to sort of like athlete mentality, but I was like, I got this advice from my grandfather when I was a kid, which was, you'll achieve much more in life by being consistently reliable than by being occasionally extraordinary.
I like that.
And I never forgot that because I was never going to be the most talented or the most gifted at these different things, but I knew that I could just be reliable. I could show up over and over and over again. And if you do that, you're pretty tough to kill. Like you can't beat the person that just keeps showing up and is reliable in that way. And so I focused on that. Like, let me just keep creating value for other people and see what happens.
I think that intent is like, kind of like, I started doing really like social media like 2021, and I was so nervous, to like just put it out there and started talking about sleep. But then like I had this revelation, 2 things you talked about. Like 1, people are gonna make fun of me, but I don't want to be friends with them. Like they're not really my friends. If they're like legit, they can bust my balls, but not actually making fun of me. And 2, if my intent's just to help, like, and there's no hidden message behind that, what can people say?
Beat the Heat is brought to you by Element. Element is my favorite electrolyte supplement on the market. I drink one pretty much every single morning. Their new cans are awesome, easy, and taste great. Use our link, drinkelement.com/beattheheat. So drinkelement.com/beattheheat to support us by getting your own Element and using our link. It really helps the podcast out, and you will not be disappointed. Electrolytes are crucial for health function, longevity, cognitive function. So check it out. You'll be feeling better and more hydrated every single day.
Yeah, it's the old golden rule, which is what I say to anyone that wants to make money, frankly, is like, create value and you will receive value. Yeah. The only way to make money in the entire world is to create a lot of value for other people. If you do that, you will receive money in return. People will give you, people will give you money for that. And so like the richest people in the world, they've created an immense amount of value for other people and they've captured a small portion of that. And so young people especially lose sight of that. You think like there's the hack or the cheat code or the thing. In reality, all you need to think about is, how can I identify a problem? How can I create a solution to that problem? And then how can I scale that solution? Yeah. And so for me, it wasn't a business strategy. It was literally like, here's a problem that I see. People aren't getting simple basic information about, at the time, business and finance. And then it expanded to about life's challenges and struggles. And I have a solution, which is these simple, straightforward, like no nonsense insights, originally on Twitter, then into a newsletter, now into a book, and then scaling it with social media and content and a newsletter and a book and all these things. And like, that's the playbook. There's no cheat code necessary there, but you have to be willing to show up and do it every day. Sure.
I will say, I was saying this before you came though, speaking of talent, I've never seen anyone that's like be able off the dome eloquently piece together quotes, pull like things from different books and authors. It's incredible, and I feel like you don't miss a beat. So give yourself a little credit.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
But you grinded that out. You read 1 million books a year.
Yeah, I read a lot, and I like thinking about these things, and I love talking to people. And so like you gather a lot of information from like human experience. I mean, frankly, like the ride over here, right? I was over at Dave Ramsey's headquarters doing some stuff before this, and I got. There was a live audience podcast that we did. And so there was a couple of fans of mine who had driven from Bowling Green, Kentucky, these 2 young guys. They're like, one's in school, one's starting a startup, 2 African-American kids. They came out to do the thing. I've talked to them in the past before. We never spent much time with them. And like, I was going to have to run out to come to this. And so I was like, hey, you mind just giving me a ride to this next thing? We could chat in the car. And they were like,
oh, that's sick.
It's like weird, right? Dude, like that we came to watch is gonna. But so I like got 30 minutes in the car with them to get to like hear what they're working on, what they're struggling with, what their challenges are, and it's nice. Yes, like I get to help them, but it's also unbelievable new like insights and perspectives for me that now I can like build off of when I write or when I share things. Because now I know.
What was the advice you told them?
Look, there is, especially when you're young, there is this desire to have all the answers from where you're sitting. So you're like, okay, I need the perfect plan. I need the perfect strategy. I'm gonna like look forward in my life and I'm just gonna like plot the course from how I'm gonna get to here, from here to the land of success where I wanna go. And you can't do that because every single thing you want to achieve in life is on the other side of something you don't want to do.
Yeah.
The answers are found in the actions that you avoid. And for me, in my own life, I've experienced that over and over again. Like when I started writing, I didn't have a plan. There wasn't a strategy to get to a book and do all these things. I just started acting. And so for all these young people out there, that's the call to action, is like, go take one little action. It doesn't need to be the perfect action. It doesn't need to be the right action. It just needs to be an action.
Right. And I don't think you like you look at that goal and that plan, but you like the steps that you actually need to take are nowhere near what you actually believe. Like, I think people think they're going to have this plan, and a lot of times they don't do anything because they're creating this plan, but that plan usually completely changes when you start.
Yeah, and you look, you have like any change you're trying to make in your life, especially a dramatic change. There's this huge wall in front of you that you need to get to the other side of.
Yep.
And you're standing at the base of it. You can't possibly imagine looking up at this wall that you're ever going to be able to climb it. So 99% of people take zero action because they're like, this is too intimidating. I can't do this. So I'm just going to have a victim mentality.
Yep.
I'm just going to sit where I am and I'm going to say, it's impossible. I was dealt a bad hand, all these things. The few are the ones who are willing to lay one brick and go and start walking, and then lay the next brick a little bit better and lay the next one a little bit better. And what they find is that eventually they're able to scale that wall. Right. They're able to get to the other side, but it's only through being willing to lay the imperfect first brick. And that's the tiny action. And so when you see people, what you notice is like the most successful people in the world have a razor thin gap between when they consume information and when they act on that information.
Right.
And most people have a huge gap. They gather information, they get a bunch of dopamine from that. They're like, oh, I feel smarter. I just listened to this podcast. I feel smarter. Don't just listen to the podcast and feel smarter. Go and act on something that we said. One of the ideas, just go and do some tiny thing. That momentum is what ends up changing your life.
Yeah. This one won't probably make them that much smarter, but most podcasts that you're on. Okay, question number 3. You went to Stanford, right? Play baseball.
Yes.
Who is Stanford's most decorated athlete? I'm not going to actually give you. I'm not going to give you it. I would say no.
Okay. I'm gonna go with John Elway.
Katie Ledecky, most decorated Olympian of all time for a female.
Oh man,
tough to argue that.
I know Hall of Famer.
Best ever.
Is she the best ever?
Yeah.
I don't know enough about swimming.
14 medals.
Oh, that's insane.
4 Olympics.
And she's so new too. That's amazing.
4 Olympics. Well, 4 Olympics.
Is she has more in her?
Yeah,
I don't know enough about swimming. She got more. Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm 0 for 3, and we're getting hotter. We like the challenge though. We're all about
questions.
Yeah, that was a tough one because like when you say most decorated, you naturally go to look at the past.
I mean, it's past though.
I know, but that's like she's just been there. I mean, that feels pretty recent.
Even
that one hitting
in
the nostrils right there.
Well, I got big nostrils. Yeah. But
you're a bigger guy. You have more surface area for the heat to hit.
Yeah, I actually am at a disadvantage.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like it's hard to beat that. The best Olympian of all time. We're 20 minutes.
Is she the best Olympian of all time?
Female, yeah.
Wow.
Most medals.
That's like a
yeah.
Like Michael Phelps, she's better than
female.
Okay, best
Michael
female.
Phelps, I think, has 18 medals.
So is Michael Phelps the best male?
Yeah.
Okay.
Michael Phelps is the best.
Okay. And she'll have a chance though of breaking that.
Yeah, it'll be close next Olympics.
Wow, good for her.
But what's hard is the thing that was special about Michael was he was so good at all the strokes, and Katie is more of a distance swimmer. So it's like there's more opportunity. I see. Like he won 8 gold medals in 1 Olympics.
So insane.
So let's talk about Stanford a little bit. So huge. Like I just am curious what it was like to go to school there because huge reputation, but not a big school. Kind of knew everybody. What was it like? And then I guess what was the balance of like? Because for me at Michigan State, it was football and then survival. Do what you got to do, and they would support us a million ways. But like football was clearly the focus, and I'm curious if it was the same way there.
Yeah, Stanford's a weird place for athletes, man. I was there during a golden era of Stanford football, as you know, which. Who knows in the NIL world whether we will ever experience again, unfortunately.
Guess we have donors, though, I'm sure.
We have good donors, but it's hard when you don't have the local fan base in the way other schools do, and you have the network, the nighttime games from being on the West Coast. So it's tough to get great talent. But in any case, I was there during a golden era. So we had Andrew Luck. Prior to him, we had Toby Gerhart. We had McCaffrey. Like we had this streak of guys that were in the Heisman finalist running. And
Andrew Luck, I always say it's like a funny story. I know Andrew, he's an incredible guy. And he would go to class, like not his junior year, but his sophomore year, and like people didn't know who he was.
That's crazy.
He was #1 ranked football player in the country. He was going to be the first. He was going to be the GOAT. Yeah. And people were like, he would go to class and he was just kind of a normal looking dude. He was big, obviously. Yeah. But like, there's no fanfare around sports at Stanford.
That makes sense.
I mean, the random people in your class founded some incredible startup and made a bunch of money.
Well, I think that's the thing too, is I think a lot of schools like sports is the end all be all. Well, Stanford, it's like, you can, like, not many people are as successful as Andrew Luck in anything else, but Stanford has quite the reputation. They have people doing things that are the same caliber as being a first-round draft pick.
Yeah, and it's the reason why, like, historically, Stanford has had a bad reputation for people drafting you out of there, because they know that guys have a high opportunity cost for sticking it out. Yeah. So, like, we all know this, but on the journey to achieving anything that you want, and in sports it's no different, probably even the most, you have to grind through the, like, valley of stagnation, like that period where you're just like, I can't see the path to getting to the other side. I can't see the path to the good version of this. And they think, the view is that a Stanford athlete is more likely to pull the ripcord there because they know they could go get a $100,000 a year job working at Google. Yeah. And I would argue that's actually mostly untrue in my experience with Stanford athletes. I think they have incredible resilience because they've built the muscle to balance all of these different areas of their life, which is extraordinary. And so I think the results actually bear out something different, but it's interesting.
How annoyed do you get when people are like, well, it's not the Ivy League? Is that like nails on a chalkboard for a Stanford grad?
Yeah, I mean, my dad is a professor at Harvard. So you can imagine, my sister went to Yale. My dad's a professor at Harvard. Both my parents went to Princeton. So all the Ivy League stuff that's in there. I never heard it, mostly because when my dad would go out to Stanford, he was always like, I wish I was here. It's an extraordinarily beautiful campus. And so it's hard to ever, it's hard to question it or feel bad when you're there.
I've never been.
Oh, dude.
Katie's mom went there.
Okay. Yeah, it's the pinnacle of beauty.
She was the all-time point scorer for women's basketball.
Okay.
So she was a stud, but I need to
That is crazy.
All right. So
they have an incredible women's basketball program.
Yes. It's pretty crazy, actually, when she broke the record. Yeah. Her dad, who's like a pretty shy guy, they ran mid-game on the court, flowers, stopped the game, technical foul, like a whole thing.
Wow.
Yeah. So
what year is that?
That's
your trivia question.
That was 60. She was born in 60.
Oh, and they were dating in college?
Yes.
Oh, how cool.
So that was probably like 79 or 80.
Oh, what a cool story. Okay.
Okay, so book's coming out, depending. What's the date?
February 4th.
Okay, so it'll be close. How many pages is the book? Got 5 minutes left.
I'm trying to think what they have quoted on Amazon.
I'm going off of the
Amazon
PDF copy.
Oh, God.
But I think that's the print copy.
Yeah, maybe.
It's the same. It's the same like cutout.
I don't know. 411.
400.
Okay.
I was gonna give it to you if you were within 10.
Yeah. Shows a lack of understanding. Ooh. How'd that one hit? How are we doing?
We're less than 5 minutes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Come on, bro.
Piece of cake. Okay.
Not a piece of cake. I'm freaking hot. We'll see if we can keep coherent sentences.
So we're gonna do a would you rather rapid fire here.
Would you rather?
Yep. Okay. Morning workout or evening workout?
Morning workout.
Running or cycling?
Running.
Squats or deadlifts?
Deadlifts.
Meal prep or spontaneous cooking?
Meal prep.
Protein shake or smoothie bowl?
Come on, bro. What is this? Protein shake.
Beach vacation or mountain retreat?
Beach vacation.
Batman or Iron Man?
Batman.
Cold brew or hot coffee?
Cold brew.
Barbell or dumbbells?
Barbell.
AMRAP or EMOM?
AMRAP.
Strength training or cardio?
Strength training.
I'm surprised.
Yeah.
You're a runner.
I don't like to be known as that.
Okay, you're not a runner. Pizza or burgers?
Burgers.
CrossFit or High Rocks?
CrossFit.
Taylor or Kanye?
Taylor.
Football or basketball?
Football.
Star Wars or Marvel?
Star Wars. Don't even know what Marvel is, to be honest. Okay, got it.
TikTok or Instagram?
Instagram.
Pre-workout or no pre-workout?
Pre-workout.
Long distance run or short sprint intervals?
Long distance.
Kendrick or Drake?
Drake.
Sleep tracker or no sleep tracker?
No sleep tracker.
Energy drink or electrolyte drink?
Electrolyte drink.
Run a marathon backward or bear crawl a mile forward?
Or bear crawl a
mile forward?
Ooh, run a marathon backward.
Oof, that's gnarly. Yeah. Every gym session starts with a karaoke or with an interpretive dance by you.
Karaoke, I love singing.
Only drink from a gallon jug or eat everything with chopsticks?
Chopsticks. I'm pretty good.
Okay. Would you rather be a member of the Kardashian family or the Obama family?
Oh, goodness gracious. Kardashian?
I think you picked that. Seem like that kind
The
of guy.
content guy. This is the content
Yeah,
side.
yeah,
No,
for sure.
It's
Instagram,
content, baby.
for the followers.
Yeah.
Would you rather be on a dating show or a survival show?
Survival.
Would you rather give up breakfast or dinner?
Dinner.
Would you rather be the smartest in the room or the funniest in the room?
Funniest.
Like, I'm already the smartest, so that's no big deal.
No, it just is like doesn't benefit you to be the smartest in the room.
Would you rather be someone who compulsively laughs during sad moments or cries whenever someone makes a joke?
Cries whenever someone makes a joke.
Would you rather get the hiccups every hour or have to end every sentence with, I do declare?
I do declare.
Last one, would you rather always have damp socks or always have a pebble in your shoe?
Ooh, damp socks.
Nice, dude. You made it.
I do declare.
Just keep that going. Keep that going. Okay, last trivia question.
Okay.
You have a Plunge, correct?
Yes.
The brand Plunge.
Yeah.
Shout out to Ryan and Plunge.
I actually have two.
Two.
One on my deck, and I have one new one in the backyard next to the Sisu.
You have the all-in?
I have the all in.
How was that?
Incredible.
Okay. Plunge was on Shark Tank. Which shark went into the Plunge during the show?
Mark Cuban.
Robert.
I don't even know who that is.
Last one.
Oh, man, I've gotten hit on every single
Yeah,
one.
dude, you got
We've gone
rock,
max.
bro.
We've gone max difficulty. What's the amount of time left that we got to last through this?
Yeah.
Probably like 2 minutes.
Yeah, I would guess 2 minutes left.
2 minutes left. 1 minute
minute,
left.
yeah.
Damn.
All right, so wrap it up, man. Tell us book launch, where it's going to be.
This is the
what you're
hardest
most
book
excited
launch I've
for.
done. Yeah. February 4th, the book, The 5 Types of Wealth, comes out everywhere books are sold, all around the world. I'm going to be in New York, Miami, San Francisco, LA, and then London over that first 10 days. I'd love to meet more of you all out there. Look, the book is not meant to give you the answers for how to live your life, which seems like a crazy thing to say, selling a self-help book. It is entirely focused on helping you ask the right questions so that you can uncover the answers for yourself. Because the truth is that you already have the answers within you. You just haven't sat with those right questions yet. And so I'm really excited for everyone to explore the book, to have a chance to read it, and hopefully share it with me and what you learn.
That's it, dude. You made it.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, come on, pup.
Go ahead.
I told you before I was willing to die rather than get
I was a
out.
little concerned. I don't want that to happen.
All right, Sahil. Congrats. You beat the heat. You won the golden ladle.
Golden ladle, nice.
It's the most important trophy you've ever won. So like grass, bro. Gold grass. Don't stand me up. Oh, your hand.
All right, who do you want to see next try and beat the heat?
Rich Roll and Andrew Huberman. You are up next.